Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Little for PokerNews.com, and today we have a fun hand from a $1,500 buy-in World Series of Poker event. We are playing relatively shallow. We have a player with 10,000 chips who is generally on the tight side, opening it up to 1,100 from the hijack seat. Then they fold around to me with 9-8 offsuit in the big blind. Now, if he made it smaller, I think this becomes a very clear defend by calling. But when he makes it 1,100, or if he made it much bigger than this, like let's say he made it 1,300 or 1,500, I would definitely fold. That said, he made it right on the cusp to where I think I should probably call with this hand. And you have to ask yourself, first off, how good is your read that this player is actually very, very tight? And in reality, I have no clue who this player even is, so my read could be very wrong. And then you also want to ask, how easy will it be to realize my equity? Will your opponent be checking behind on any street, right? If you can flop a hand like middle pair, check, call the flop, and then it gets checked down, and you win, well, that's fantastic, right? Because then I'm really not risking a whole lot of chips. But if I am going to have to face a flop bet, a turn bet, and a river bet to get to the showdown, in that scenario, I probably need to be a little bit more cautious. That said, I usually have more implied odds in those scenarios. So it goes both ways. That said, this time we decided to call. If I didn't call, this wouldn't be much of a video now, would it? Flop comes 9-7-3, 2 hearts. I check, and the opponent bets 2,200, which is actually on the big side. Which is kind of interesting. In this scenario, when the opponent bets big, you have to presume that he's... Well, first off, you should presume the opponent's betting with a very polarized range of the best hands and some draws. And draws here may be hands like Jack-10, maybe Ace-X of diamonds, right? Draw is used very liberally in this scenario. But I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be true against a random player in a $1,500 buy-in World Series of Poker event, because a lot of players just bet big with everything. They think, all right, I have Ace-King, I'm all in. And if they're thinking I have Ace-King, I'm all in, then the situation changes a lot, right? So the question becomes, should I call or should I go all in? Notice again, the opponent's relatively shallow. So I don't think shoving can ever be that bad. But whenever you do shove here, you have to understand you're essentially getting your money in every single time you're behind. And when you're ahead, your opponent gets to fold if they feel like it. So shoving does get you protection, which is very important. But at the same time, it gives up future equity from your opponent bluffing. It's also kind of clear which turns and rivers are bad for me. Like, I really don't want an ace, a king, or a queen, right? Because then I'm just completely screwed against a relatively tight range. If it comes off with a low card, I'm very, very happy. So I think calling is not so bad in this spot, especially if I actually do think I have a good read on my opponent. But again, you got to be careful with live reads. They'll get you in a lot of trouble. Turns an ace of hearts. If I check. If my opponent jams, I have an easy fold. But now he surprises me by betting 2,500. I can't think of many hands the opponent would want to bet 2,500 with besides exactly a flush. If the opponent's sitting here with like king, queen, or king X of hearts, I could definitely see betting small because I'm just drawing dead. If he did have a hand like ace, king, no heart though, you think he'd want to go all in. I mean, maybe he could bet small with a hand like ace of diamonds, king of hearts. I guess that makes sense because I'm probably drawing pretty thin against that range too. But even then, I don't think he wants to give me such great pot odds, especially if he can just jam and clean up his equity. You're going to find that in general, whenever you're starting to get very shallow, it's okay to make all-in bets for the size of the pot because if your opponent folds, even if they're folding kind of correctly, it's okay because you ensure you get to stay in the tournament, which is fantastic, right? So right here, what should I do? This is one of these spots where I think you're probably supposed to fold if you know your opponent's actually very, very straightforward and very, very honest and very, very weak, essentially. Because most tight players are not bluffing here. So if the guy's not bluffing, do I have any equity? Well, the question really is a heart good? If I get a heart, do I win? If I get a heart and win, well then clearly I'm getting the right price to call, because if I can get a heart and win, I can probably get a 9 and win too, right? And for all I know, maybe an 8's good as well. So, pretty bad spot, right? I think folding's probably going to be right, just because I would typically say, in general, most people, when they bet tiny here, are going to have a really good hand. But, again, you never know. Your opponents are going to surprise you. And you all know me, I never fold. So we call, river's a king, I check, and now I'm definitely going to fold if my opponent goes all in. But it goes check, check, and he has ace-7. So, how would we rate our play on this hand, knowing exactly what the opponent had? That's not necessarily the best way to go about things like this. But let's go back to the very beginning and see how we fared. So pre-flop, are we going to win 20-something% of the time or 30-something% of the time? Of course we are, because we have... How much equity do we have here? We have something like 30... No, how much do we have? We have something like 30-something% equity. So easy call. Maybe 40% equity. My brain's not working right now. Flop comes, obviously. I should have check shoved all in. But check calling's fine too, because the opponent's drawing almost dead, right? I should have check shoved though. Clearly if I knew he had ace-7. On the turn, I check the opponent bet small. Should I call or fold? I should call, right? Because we have all of the outs. We have 9, 10, 11. We have 11 outs here. And we're going to win 25% of the time, and we only need to win 20. So we should call, right? Down the river, like I said, if he bet I was going to fold. So even though this looks like a really, well, it is a dicey spot, it seems like we actually navigated it pretty well. And, you know, we lost the hand, but you can't really be that sad when that happens, because it didn't actually go that poorly. I think a lot of people think that this is a bad result. They think losing any hand is a bad result. And really, we made pretty reasonable decisions on every street. I mean, of course, we could have just jammed the flop and life would have been easy. But I thought the opponent's range was tighter than it actually was. And clearly that's a mistake, because a lot of people don't even open ace-7 if they are actually tight. Anyway, we lose a medium-sized pot, and losing medium-sized pots with medium hands is not really that big of a deal. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks to Poker News for hosting it. If you all have any questions, please let me know on Twitter at Jonathan Little. I'm always happy to help. Also, I have an Instagram page for those who do not know. It is jcardshark, JCARDSHARK. I post lots of fun stuff. You know, videos from poker tournaments. I also post videos with my family. And it's more of an inside look where I show you everything that's going on in life. So check that out on Instagram at jcardshark. Have a good day. Good luck. I'll talk to you next time.